Morning everyone, Jackie Broman here from TBA Law, coming to you Monday morning with Facebook Live video that I try and do every Monday, a short snippet of information for you which then gets posted onto Facebook. So there's a whole lot of videos that you can go back and have a look at the topics for. Now, being a specialist in wills and estates, which I am, a lot of my videos have been on that topic, but TBA Law also does a lot of property law, including conveyancing. So the last couple of videos I've done have been on buying and selling property and what the conveyancing process is. And today I'm talking about finding the money to buy real estate, particularly for first home buyers, because it's an experience buying a house, which we don't do very often, and it's a big purchase. So one of the biggest purchases we may do in our life. So I often come across people who, because of inexperience, don't know what to prepare for and are potentially short when they come to settlement, because they make an offer on a house and it stretches them to the mortgage, to their borrowing limit, and then they haven't factored in adjustments at settlement, and they haven't factored in stamp duty, and they haven't factored in transfer fees and the conveyancing fees. Okay, so please, when you're looking to buy a property and you're thinking about your budget, you've got to factor in what's the stamp duty costs. You can go to the State Revenue Office website and use the calculator there to work out what the stamp duty would be depending on what you're offering. So factor that in. Factor in bank fees. Bank fees are going to, if you're going for a mortgage, bank fees can be $1,000 to $2,000. So factor that in. Conveyancing costs, usually about $1,500. Transfer costs are another couple of $100 on top of that, as well as then the lodgement with Land Victoria. So please don't be short. If you are short on what you're borrowing, make sure that you've got some savings that we can access at the settlement. The other thing that I come across a few times are the contract terms. So the standard terms on the contract is that you pay a 10% deposit. That means you actually have to pay a cash deposit. You can negotiate that deposit amount potentially down to 5% or potentially even lower. But understand that if the contract says you have to pay 5% or 10%, that cash amount needs to be paid on you signing the contract, gets paid to the agent. So you do need to have the savings there to cover any deposit that you've got to pay. On some occasions, you can use either a bank guarantee or a deposit bond to cover your deposit. So that is allowed in the contract. For example, if your deposit has to be $20,000 and you don't have that cash, you can go to a bank and buy what's called a deposit bond, which is like an insurance policy that the bank puts up. And then if the contract fails for whatever reason, the bank pays that $20,000. So that's how you can get around that. But please make sure that what the contract says you can actually perform. Then where to go to get finance. So you don't have to go to the 4 major banks. You don't have to go to the bank who has your main deposit accounts. If they have your main deposit accounts, it's easier for them to see the proof of your income. If you go through a broker, and a broker has access to far more banks, so they can find you the best deal, you actually have to provide a lot more information though to get your application over the line. So just to be aware of that. And then communicate to whoever's doing your conveyancing, okay? So if it's us, we need to know who you're applying for with your finance. We need to have the contact details for your broker or the person you're dealing with at the bank. We're going to be following them up just as much as you are to see where that application is up to. And if it gets approved, to follow them up to make sure those mortgage documents come in time to settle. A lot of settlements can't happen within 30 days anymore because banks just cannot be ready. So you're looking at 60 days at a bare minimum. And that is still with a lot of chasing and hounding the bank to actually be ready. So I suppose those are my main tips to first home buyers, but also people who, you know, you do maybe 2 or 3 purchases of a property throughout your life. You need to make sure your budget includes all the extra stamp duties and transfer fees, bank fees, etc. You need to make sure that the contract terms are something you can meet. So if it says you need to pay a cash deposit, you need to have that cash ready to go, or don't sign it, or negotiate something different. There are plenty of options where to go to actually apply for finance. So don't just think you have to stick to the major 4 banks, and then communicate with us. It's really important that we have the contact details for these people so we can chase them, so we can make sure things happen. All right, so those are my main tips there for getting the money together for your purchase of real estate. So again, this video will be posted onto Facebook, so you can go back and find the video again, or tag someone's name in it if you think that it is useful. And I do this every Monday morning to do a short snippet of information. So whilst wills and estates is my primary area, and I've done lots of videos on that, I'm just covering off a few weeks of looking at property and conveyancing, because TBA law does do a lot of that work as well. So thank you very much